Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're continuing on in Creation Cries Out, the book of the Mosaic. Chapter 14. Foundation of all faiths. Let's get started. So on the left here we have the Enoch Zodiac, and on the right you got a pagan Zodiac. Notice the differences here. You've got 6 black figures and 6 pale ones or white ones. You've got 4 horses, the sun, which seems to be centered there in the middle, and it looks like a Greek god, probably Zeus. And then I'm sure there's a lot more stuff in there. You got the cross. Let's move along. Chapter 14, the foundation of all faiths. The zodiac, from Hebrew word zodai, meaning the way, was given to Enoch and passed down through the ages. Yahuwah proclaimed he created the Mosaic and Zodiac, or Mosaic, Zodiac, to Job. Yahuwah used it to proclaim the gospel to Abraham, who saw Yahusha's day, viewing the Zodiac. The 12 tribes of Israel each had an associated zodiac sign. Every human age epoch is defined by it and properly uses its symbolism to represent the various ages. The Sabbath covenant is actually foretold by the ages in the zodiac clock. The timing of the first and second advents of the Messiah are synchronized in both directions in the zodiac clock. The individual lifespan of mankind is established by the zodiac clock. The substitute of a ram and the yearly sacrifice of a lamb are prophesied within it. The two comings of the suffering servant and the conquering king are proclaimed by it. King David defined it and explained its true meaning. The wedding portrait of the bridegroom and the bride is foretold by the zodiac. Ezekiel used it as a source of prophecy, sees it, and describes it in great detail. Daniel was a famous and devout astrologer and used it as a means of prophecy, preserved it, and passed it down through the Chaldean astrologers. Reference Daniel 5:11. The Chaldean astrologers, known as the very wise men, used it to locate the young Messiah. No one else found him, only the wise men, and most probably passed its secrets down to Yahusha and John the Baptist. The Nazarenes preserved it and its meaning. Yahusha identifies himself as the fulfillment of it. Shaul chastises the Galatians for not understanding it. Yahuwah gave it as a gift to all mankind. Shaul confirms humanity is without excuse because of it. John, like Ezekiel and Daniel, prophesy by it and describe it in great detail in the book of Revelation. It is the heavenly scroll, and the only one who fulfills it is worthy to read it and break the seals over it. And that is Yahusha. The reality is that the heavenly scroll was the original revelation to all mankind, and the rest of scriptures are established in its foundation. The book of Revelation literally describes the zodiac and its fulfillment, with Leo conquering the dragon and the rule of the lion of the tribe of Judah. Did it end there, or is there evidence that the zodiac continued to be the very foundation of the early Nazarene, Jewish, and Christian faiths? In fact, the zodiac was intimately related to Jewish worship for centuries to come and was the foundation of early Christianity. However, over time, as this age progresses, we fell further and further away from the Creator until we had fallen so far we literally outlawed his original revelation to mankind, found written in the stars. It was gradual but complete as we replaced Yahuwah with pure science, denying our roots, turning our backs on the truths and hidden mysteries in the heavens that are the foundation of modern medicine, astronomy, timekeeping, and understanding the will of the Creator. The zodiac, foundation from which all faith was established, remains of many Jewish synagogues dating back to the 1st century Common Era through the 6th century Common Era have been uncovered by archaeologists to reveal the zodiac as a major function of their religion. Many of them with elaborate mosaics of the Zodiac, well preserved alongside mosaics of biblical stories. The 12 lunar Hebrew months of the year were closely associated with the 12 zodiac signs, and preserved in Hebrew writing on each corresponding zodiac sign in these ancient synagogues. This demonstrates that if we look back into history at the last divine correction, we see the zodiac and the divine clock were well understood and had a significant role in the places of worship. Today, however, we are so arrogant as to believe these early Jews had succumbed to Greek mythology. No, they had come back to the truth of Yahuwah, following the last divine correction. The zodiac was adopted by the Greeks from the Hebrews. It is we who 2,000 years later have fallen from the truth of the Creator, not the other way around. The prevalence of the zodiac and the prominence of these zodiac mosaics in the synagogues over the first 7 centuries, dating back all the way to just before Yahusha came, speaks to the reality and importance of the message contained within the zodiac. Even the Talmud identifies the 12 constellations of the zodiac with the 12 months of the Hebrew calendar. The correspondence of the constellations with their names in Hebrew and the months as is follows: 1. Aries, 2. Taurus, 3. Gemini, 4. Cancer, 5. Leo, 6. Virgo, 7. Libra, 8. Scorpio, 9. Sagittarius, 10. Capricorn, 11. Aquarius, and 12. Pisces. We see these signs associated with the Hebrew months on all Jewish zodiacs in the first 7 centuries AD. The implication of the zodiac being so prominently displayed in synagogues going back to the 1st century is astounding. Remember, John, Yahusha, Shaul, and all the men in the renewed covenant taught in the synagogues. It is possible for some of these zodiac floor murals had the honor of the footprints of the Messiah as they walked over them to speak to the people. Never once are they condemned in the New Testament writings or by the Messiah. These zodiac mosaics were accepted right alongside mosaics of the Ark of the Covenant, Abraham sacrificing Isaac, Adam and Eve, and so on. They all were seen as the story of salvation, proudly displayed in elaborate floor mosaics that survive today. Below is from HarperCollins Bible Dictionary on the role of the Jewish synagogue. First Synagogues by Chad Spiegel. According to the New Testament Gospels, Jesus often taught in synagogues, one of which is in Capernaum, reference Mark 1, 21 through 28. In northern Israel, the book of Acts suggests that the Apostle Shaul also taught in synagogues, Acts 17, 1 through 2. But what exactly were synagogues in the 1st century Common Era? Were they different from modern synagogues? The answers to these questions not only illuminate stories in the New Testament, they also shed light on the early years of an important Jewish institution. Synagogue in a Greek word that literally means gathering of people, but also refers to the place of assembly. Although the origin of the synagogue is a Jewish institution is unclear, by the 1st century Common Era, they were found in both Palestine and the diaspora, where they were used for a variety of communal needs, as schools or communal meals, as hostels, as courts of law, as a place to collect and distribute charity, and for political meetings. Worship also took place in the 1st century synagogues, although this would not develop into something like modern Jewish synagogue worship until months later. Nonetheless, reading and interpreting the Torah and prophets is well attested in the 1st century synagogues. And although scholars disagree about the extent of communal prayers, literary sources suggest that Jews prayed in at least some synagogues at this time. Matthew and Josephus. In short, the synagogue was the focus and expression of the Jewish faith. Without a doubt, the most prominent feature of these ancient Jewish synagogues was the heavenly scroll of Enoch's Zodiac. The Mosaic Zodiac stood out as the foundation for biblical stories that accompanied them and the Hebrew calendar months associated with them. Given the synagogue served the function of schools, legal courts, and politics. The prominent display of the Enoch Zodiac on the floors of these Jewish institutions speaks to the reality that they understood the Zodiac to have been created by Yahuwah, given to all mankind, and containing the plan of salvation from which their entire religion was revealed. There you have it. Astrology, the Zodiac, and its associated meaning have played a role in Hebrew history for at least the 2,000 years of the age of Aries, beginning with Yahuwah proclaimed the gospel to Abraham. As we have seen so far in this book, Yahuwah took Abraham outside, under the canopy of the stars, and instructed Abraham to look up and discern the meaning of the Zodiac. But if legend and the book of Enoch is true, then the Zodiac came to mankind through Enoch, then corrupted through the watchers. As I have pointed out in this book, the Zodiac was literally the foundation from which the prophets of Yahuwah made their predictions. They described the Zodiac perfectly, there is no doubt. The role of the Zodiac continued to play a major role during the current age of Pisces, at least for 6, maybe 7 centuries, if not all the way up to the 16th century, before the false prophet Pope abolished it. When you research into what happened to astrology over the past several centuries, Jewish and Christian authorities have a very difficult time explaining why the Enoch Zodiac, with all its meanings and implications, was removed from the religious traditions. Yet, the fact that astrology, Enoch Zodiac, played a key and integral role both in religions is simply indisputable. To deny the importance of the heavenly scroll, Zodiac, we would have to turn a blind eye to the countless references to the Zodiac in both Testaments, declarations made by Yahuwah and Yahusha, all the prophets, and ignore the archaeological evidence that all loudly proclaim Yahuwah is the author. Rabbi Joe Doblin, to rule both day and night, astrology in the Bible, the Midrash and Talmud explains. The basic philosophy of the astrologer is religious, regardless of the religious direction from which he seeks the truth. The basic philosophical trust of astrology derives from the conviction that the human being, God, and the universe are in some way a unity, that man and universe, if you will, both swim in the sea of space-time, whose substance is God. A unity, but not eternity. One of the most anointed and all famous of the prophets of Yahuwah, Daniel, was an astrologer. Daniel was chief astrologer under several kings and empires. Daniel 5:11. There is a man in your kingdom who is endowed with the spirit of the holy gods. In the days of your father, he was found to have enlightenment, understanding, and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods. Your father, King Nebuchadnezzar, made him chief of the magicians, enchanters, Chaldeans, and diviners. The proper use of astrology, discerning the will of Yahuwah in heaven, as to make it so on earth, is still practiced today by many rabbis. Rabbi Joe Doblin explains that in all existence is subject to God's will and an essential beginning for the astrologer. One creator, one creation should be the mantra for every astrologer. For combining this latest statement with its forerunner, then man, God, and universe are an essential unity, allows the astrologer to seek in the heavens for the evidence of God's will for mankind, which will help the individual person as well as the community realize and act on the basic religious statement, make thy will my will. Rabbi Joe C. Doblin continues, astrology revealed to me his order and his beauty, and his place for me in the divine balance that links God, man, and universe into one balanced process, which never ends in this or the other planes of awareness of life. This was the same desire of Yahushua the Messiah. There is one Creator, one creation, and that He and all the sons are to be one with the Father, and not His will, but Thy will. Yahushua's hope was that Yahuwah's will, as laid out and defined by Yahuwah at creation and written in the stars, be done on this earth. Matthew 6:10. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is written in the heavenly scroll. We see in Psalms 11, King David proclaimed that Yahuwah's throne is in heaven. What David is referring to, we already know. In Psalms 19, David proclaimed the meaning of the zodiac in great detail. Psalms 11, verse 4, Yahuwah is in his holy temple. Yahuwah's throne is in heaven. His eyes watch, his eyes examine all people. Heaven means zodiac. We also see Isaiah proclaim, Isaiah 66, 1. This is what Yahuwah says, Heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house you will build for me? Where will my resting place be? Again, heaven is zodiac. We see Isaiah declare that the exact same reality below, remember the heavens, is actually specifically referring to the place in the sky where the stars are, i.e. the zodiac, starry host, are the constellations that host the stars. Isaiah 40:26. Lift up your eyes and look to the heavens, the zodiac. Who created all these? Who brings out the starry host, constellations, one by one, and calls forth each of the constellations of them by name? Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. There are exactly 12 constellations in every culture dating back to the origin of man. Again, we see David in Psalms 119 declare that Yahuwah's instructions endure. They stand secure in heaven, i.e. the zodiac. The Mosaic is Yahuwah's original revelation to all mankind, laying out his plan for man, the time frame through 2,000 years, reverse ages, and his plan for salvation through Yahushua the Messiah, as told by the 12 signs from Leo to Virgo. From Virgo to Leo, I'm sorry. I got dyslexia. Let's shed the light of context on this passage with Psalm 19. Psalm 19, verse 1. The heavens, the stars and constellations, declare the glory of Yahuwah. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech. They use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out unto all the earth, their words to the ends of the age. In the heavens, among the stars and constellations, Yahuwah has pitched a tent for the sun, the zodiac. It is like a bridegroom, Yeshua, coming out of his chamber to wed the bride, remnant Israel, like a champion, conquering king, rejoicing to run his course through the ecliptic. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. Rabbi Joe Doblin summarizes, astrology helps man to understand God's will and to put himself in balance with the divine universal forces, thus enriching his life and experience. Historical evidence. The fundamental role played by the zodiac throughout the Hebrew journey cannot be denied, and it is evident in mosaics found across the region over several centuries. We simply can no longer ignore this overwhelming evidence and just rationalize it away, simply because it no longer fits into our modern views. We must reclaim what Yahuwah's signature over his creation, the zodiac, and restore the message found in the heavenly scroll. The ruins of Hammath-Tiberias Synagogue. Wow. You can see the menorahs. The photos on the left reveal the ruins of the Tiberias Synagogue used between the 3rd and 8th centuries. See that the floor of the synagogue was adorned with elaborate mosaics. The Ark of the Covenant, the menorah, and the other symbols sacred to the Hebrew religion in the top portion. So here's the Ark of the Covenant, 2 menorahs. I don't know about the center. You can't really see all the detail in it. It's kind of like something going through it. The middle section containing the Enoch Zodiac in great detail, and the lower section a memorial to the founder of the synagogue, the Zodiac, playing the most significant role in both sides as the centerpiece. Yeah, it's pretty accurate there. It doesn't have the 4 beasts on it, though. Kind of. It's got the lion. Anyway, let's move along. We see in this mosaic the Ark of the Covenant. We see the menorah along with the lulav and a throng. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. Which are essential items for Sukkot. We see a shofar and other items of the Hebrew faith. Oh yeah, there's Oh, that's a shofar. That's a sickle. That's the menorah. That's a shopan for the coal. That's for harvesting grapes. Yeah, separating good from bad. So, and then, of course, even more prominently displayed as the centerpiece, Enoch's Zodiac in tremendous detail as the heavenly scroll forms the foundation of the synagogue. It's crazy. You can tell they did some patchwork here. Probably got messed up, when those things are rolled up. Or, oh, actually a floor. I don't know. Maybe that was the walkway or something. It got tracked. This mosaic is one of the most elaborate, with careful detail paid to each sign of the zodiac. The effort, time, and craftsmanship to produce such a mosaic is truly impressive. I can only imagine how colorful and exotic the sight of this mosaic would have been over 1,000 years ago. It is impressive even today. Mosaic of Zodiac on the floor of the synagogue in Zippori. In Lower Galilee, there was discovered the ruins of the synagogue at Zippori. Again, the Enoch Zodiac was the featured mosaic, with the months of the Hebrew lunar calendar assigned to each sign of the zodiac. From Wikipedia, the remains of an ancient Zippori synagogue have been uncovered in the lower section of the city. It was built in the late 5th or early 6th century, at a time when the town's Christian population was increasing and the strength of the Jewish population was diminishing. Measuring 20.7 meters by 8 meters wide, it was located at the edge of town. The mosaic floor is divided into 7 parts. Near the entrance, there is a scene showing the angels visiting Sarah. The next section shows the binding of Isaac. There is a large zodiac with the names of the months written in Hebrew as the centerpiece. The Messiah sits in the middle, in his sun chariot, Helios to the Greeks. Can't believe how well it's actually preserved for how old that is. The last section shows 2 lions flanking a wreath, their paws resting on the head of an ox. The most interesting are the central sections of the mosaic. One shows the Tamid sacrifice, the showbread, and the basket of first fruits from the temple in Jerusalem. Also shown are a building facade, probably representing the temple, incense shovels, shofars, and the 7-branch menorah from the temple. Another section shows Aaron dressed in priestly robes, preparing to offer sacrifices of oil, flour, a bull, and a lamb. Synagogue at Ein Gedi. Looks like Greek writing. Mosaic floor at synagogue in Ein Gedi lists all the signs of the zodiac and identifies their corresponding months of the Hebrew calendar. Ein Gedi is an oasis located west of the Dead Sea. Mosaic of the Zodiac at the synagogue of Ein Harod. On the floor of the synagogue at Ein Harod, there is a massive Enoch Zodiac mosaic in the valley Jezreel near Mount Gibeah. And that looks like the original Enoch. Let's see, he's got the scroll in his hand. Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely amazing. The Mosaic of the Zodiac at Synagogue floor at Beit Alpha. The Mosaic of Zodiac signs on the synagogue floor at Beit Alpha, dating to the Byzantine period, 6th century, located at the foot of the northern slopes of Mount Gibeah. Again, the centerpiece with the Ark of the Covenant in the upper portion and various pictorials of biblical characters and stories surrounding and at the bottom portion. This synagogue has one of the best preserved mosaics of the zodiac. Rabbi Joe C. Doblin. Astrology was so much part of the Jewish life and experience, and so well respected in our tradition and law, that the abandonment of astrology to follow the chimera of scientific linearity was one of the greatest religious tragedies that ever befell our people. For in so doing, we abandoned, as well as the mystical realities of our faith, the abilities to balance our lives and attain unity, and we have created of our synagogues and temples arenas of contention for power and concern for financial sufficiency. I write as an astrologer, seeking to turn all those various faiths have seemed to abandon them back to their own faith. Crazy. The zodiac in the early church. As the early church emerged out of Judaism, we see clear evidence that the zodiac played a very key role. The early popes, like all pagan kings and queens, claimed the zodiac as their divine right to rule. Below we see the pope enthroned under the banner of the zodiac. Sure, there's a bunch of hidden stuff in there, but this is the first book in the series, so we're not going to get too into the details. Not only did the popes reign by the authority of the zodiac, the image at the center of the zodiac was drawn depicting by Jesus H. Cries. Now, Cries sits on the throne surrounded by the four beasts described in Ezekiel's and John's visions. The four wheels with their wheel are maintained. The underlying belief in the zodiac as being the original revelation to all mankind was maintained, going from Judaism to Christianity. Yeah, pretty similar. They just changed the center of it. Remove the four outer and inner creatures. We see what appear to be a black rim in the zodiac signs, angels, and then the center, another mural image found in Catholicism. They remove the outer four and the inner four creatures. Put Jesus in the middle and put the sun behind his head. It's not a halo, it's a sun. And also, pay attention to his fingers there. His fingers, he's making a hand sign, you can tell. They're not too much in this one. Then right here you see this X with a squiggly line over it. And that's an XC, but C and S, you see C then is translated as S now, because they both make the same sound. So we're going to learn more about that in the series. Not going to get too into that right now. Below we see Pope Gregory III attending a zodiac lesson among his bishops. Notice the subject being taught is the zodiac. We see Scorpio and Libra. Yeah. The Greeks, I mean, they use this stuff against us. We find the zodiac murals adorning ceilings in Catholic structures worldwide. sure do. So they put like a seraph in there with the four wings. And it looks like they almost pasted over the face of it with Jesus and the sun. It almost looks like two different, like it was an older one and then they just painted over it with their new god. It looks kind of like an Irish. We see that Pisces became the symbol of Christianity and the age of Pisces. Meeting places were adorned with the sign of Pisces. I'm not sure what that center is. I'm not sure if it's like a clover or more like a heart, maybe. I'm sure the author knows pretty well. Down there. Oh, this is the Pisces thing he's talking about. If astrology and the zodiac was such a major factor in both Judaism and Christianity, dating back to the Old Testament prophets, continuing through the first several centuries in the Common Era, what happened? That's a good question. Why are we deprived of the esoteric wisdom and knowledge contained within the very first revelation from Yahuwah to humanity? Yeah, it's a good point. I watch a lot of sermons on TV or on YouTube and so forth. I have never seen a sermon or a radio show or anything from the church that talks anything about the zodiac. If the zodiac was a source of inspiration used by Yahuwah to witness the gospel to Abraham, convey prophetic wisdom to Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, John, and many others, what happened to this original revelation? The same thing that happened to the law of Yahuwah, the feast of Yahuwah, the name of Yahuwah, and the name of Yahusha. It was subtracted, minus, deleted, hidden. More abominations from the false prophet. Daniel 7:25. He, the false prophet, shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law, and they shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time. The Pope is what happened. It was by papal decree that the Sabbath was done away with and Sunday worship was abolished. Sunday worship was established, not abolished. It was by papal decree that Yahuwah became a Trinity. It was by papal decree that the Passover was changed to Easter. It was by papal decree that everything holy to Yahuwah, all knowledge of the Creator, was deemed old and irrelevant, and the original scriptures were labeled the Old Testament. It was by papal decree that the law was deemed to be done away with. And yes, that same system, the beastly system prophesied to do all these things, is at the source, once again, of yet another abomination, outlining the zodiac, the heavenly scroll, the source. In 1586, Pope Sixtus V issued papal bull condemning Judaical mundane astrology. This condemnation has deprived humanity, Catholic Protestants, and all mankind from the esoteric wisdom found in astrology to this day, literally abolishing the heavenly scroll in the same way the earthly scroll, the Torah of the prophets, were abolished by the false prophet. From this point forward, humanity rushed headlong into scientific dictatorship that denied the power and authority of the Creator. It is the age-old battle that began with the Watchers giving humanity advanced knowledge outside of the context of the Creator. Daniel Taylor, in his article, The Scientific Dictatorship, explained, published in the Old Thinker News Journal, July 26, 2011, made a very valid observation. The ideological roots of the scientific dictatorship can be traced to the works of Plato some 2,000 years ago. In truth, humanity has been battling the formation of this tyranny for much of known history. As humanity further distanced itself from the last divine correction over the past 2,000 years, we gradually moved toward a world defined by science outside of the knowledge of Yahuwah. Yahuwah was denied his glory as creator, and theories such as the Big Bang and evolution replaced his creative acts. Humanity has fallen so far from Yahuwah as a creator, even Yahuwah's original revelation to all humanity, written in the stars as illustrated by the zodiac, has been outlawed by the very institutions that claim to represent him. As I said earlier in this book, no wonder there are no real prophets on this earth in these last days. This act to abolish the heavenly scroll was one of the last and greatest abominations of the whore of Babylon, the Christian church. Add that to all the other abominations of the one who holds a cup full of abomination, and the act of totally abolishing the true word of Yahuwah was complete. Yeah. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet. This is Revelation 17:4. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She held a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things, and the filth of her adulteries. Yeah. Alright, you guys. Chapter 15. God bless.